So welcome back to another deck profile video and Happy New Year. This is a deck profile for Wargreymon X Antibody. You might notice this video is a little bit different to my previous ones. We've decided to go digital just because it makes my life a little bit easier as I record these videos, and plus I can pause between recordings if the little one decides to cry. So let's get started. We're going into the Digi-Egg phase now, so Coromon from BT5 is our standard 4-off for this deck. It's got a when attacking effect. If you have Omnimon or Greymon in name, you get to draw one card. For obvious reasons, we're using this egg for that draw power. We want to try and get as many of our pieces as we can to be then as aggressive as we can to try and kill games quickly, especially with the way this game is currently. In regards to our rookies, we're playing 12. They're all Agumon based. The first one's BT12. This one lets you reveal the top 4 cards of the deck. You add one Greymon or Omnimon in name, as well as a Tychemia. And then its inherited effect is essentially you give your Greymon or Omnimon an additional 1000 DP. The next Agumon that we'll be covering is from our BT14 set. So this one is not your searcher. This is what you want to be digivolving into in your hatching area, but it comes with a start of main effect. Essentially, if you have a Tychemia in play, you can digivolve into a Greymon without paying the cost. Its inherited effect, much like the previous Agumon, gives your Greymon or Omnimon in name a DP boost, namely in this case 2000 DP. So yeah, ideally you want to be using BT12 Agumon for searching, then the BT14 for hatching. Our last set of Agumon is the X-Body variant from BT9. Digivolves over your Agumon for 0 cost, or just play it out for the free cost. Now, it searches the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you can add a Greymon or Omnimon in name, as well as the X Antibody option card. And then you just bottom deck the rest of what you don't choose. Next up, in regards to our champions, again, we're going for a kind of a toolbox format here. So the first 2 Greymons that we're using are from the first structure deck for the game. Doesn't come with any effects other than it's inherited, which just simply gives your Digimon security attack +1. Again, we're going for aggression here, so it's a good 2-off to have. Ultimately, though, you could run a playset. What we got next? So we've got another set of Greymon from EX1. Again, this is the first expansion set, but it doesn't come with any like ordinary effects, but instead it just comes with the inherited. It's a when attacking once per turn, but you can play a Tychemia from your hand as long as it's a free cost or less. So it's a good way of spawning the Tychemias into play, and then being able to utilize the Tychemia effects. Namely giving the extra 1000 DP and blocker. The last set of normal Greymons that we're using is from BT12. Again, another cheap way of getting your Tychemia out into play. So when digivolving effect, but when digivolving, if you don't have that Tamer in play, then you can play it. So again, it comes in really handy for early game, but again, you could mix and match your Greymons as you see fit. Additionally, its inherited effect. Again, you give your Greymon or Omnimon an additional 1000 DP. Next, we're going up to the X Antibody variants. So the BT9 Greymon, again, doesn't come with any main effects, but its inherited is actually still very much relevant. But you ultimately, if your Digimon is bounced back to your hand or deck or deleted, you can just trash 2 of the same level Digimon from the sources to prevent that from happening. And if you've got the right stack, you could possibly do that 2 to 3 times. Next up, Bandai, please unrestrict this card. Do it now. We run the one of the Greymon X Antibody from BT11. This one has a your turn effect. Ultimately, if you digivolve, that Digivolution card, that Digivolution rather, is reduced by 1 for each colour that Digimon then has. So you could go into your Metal Greymons for a cost of 1. Especially the BT12 version, So yeah, it's just a very, very good card, but please unrestrict this so we can have our Wargreymon back. Ultimates, we go with BT12 Metal Grey. Comes with Raid, naturally, because the all turns effect is once per turn. You essentially, if the attack target is switched, you can then play a Tamer card from your hand with a cost of 4 or less. And then it also comes with an inherited effect where ultimately you give your Greymon or Omnimon in name, it then gains piercing. So yeah, it's a good 4-off to have. We go into our X antibody variants. Metal Grey X from BT9, just for aggression really, but it gains security attack +1 when digivolving, gains an additional 3k as well, so long as you have Metal Grey or X antibody in its sources, and that lasts until the end of the opponent's turn. And then we run a single copy of, when it pops up, here we go, the other variant from BT11. DP reduction and de-digivolving seems to be a very common thing at the moment in the game, so it's just a good one-off to have. But when digivolving, it prevents this Digimon being affected by DP reduction effects, as well as de-digivolve, and that lasts until the end of your opponent's turn. Additionally, you can delete something from the board at 6000 DP or less, as long as you've got the relevant sources underneath. Its inherited effects at an opponent's turn once per turn, but when a Digimon unsuspends, it then trashes the top of your opponent's security. Next up, we got Wargreymon from BT12. I'm running a 2-off of this at the moment, but it comes with Raid. Has when digivolving effect, where ultimately it gains an additional 3000 DP and reboot, and it's all turns once per turn. When the attack target is switched, you get to unsuspend this Digimon, so you could be swinging for two checks, namely. Depending on your stack, you may even swing for 4 or 5. BT14 Wargreymon, I'm only running a 1-off. It's when digivolving effect gives it Raid, and then it may attack. Additionally, when you do attack, if you have a Tamer, it gains security attack +1 and piercing for the turn. But it can also warp digivolve over the top of an Agumon, so long as your opponent has a 10,000 DP Digimon or more. Other way around, 10,000 or more Digimon, there we go. But yeah, it's a good one-off to have. And then the one trick pony I've thrown in here at the moment is the BT17 variant. You're only ever going to activate the one effect from its on-play or when digivolving, which is to delete something with 8000 DP or less. And I mean, ideally it's just for the inherited effect, so that when attacking once per turn, if it's got Omnimon in name, you're trashing the top card of your opponent's security, so you could be swinging for game 1 check earlier. Which is actually very handy. Next up, we got our boss monster from BT5, Omnimon. When digivolving it gains Blitz, it also unsuspends, and then all turns, should it be deleted or bounce back to the hand or deck, so long as it has the mega level Digimon underneath, you can delete, well, you can trash one of those sources in order to prevent the effect from happening. So it's, yeah, it's a very good card still, especially if you have the right setup. But this game killer can now happen 1 check earlier. Agumon, Bond the Bravery Ace card from the LM set, is our next level 7. It's actually a very good card. You can counter when your opponent swings. You delete essentially your opponent's Digimon based on however much DP this Digimon has. So you can delete anything up to that value, which is great. So it's not just one target, it could be multiple. Additionally, it's when attacking, you trash the top card of your opponent's security as long as you have the Tamer. In terms of Tamers, now we run 5 in total. 2 are of the Tychomere from BT1. This is your bog standard memory setter, but it also comes with a your turn effect. If your Digimon has 4 Digivolution cards or more, you can give it security attack +1, which is obviously for aggression, so it's ideal. And it does come up often. But mainly you're going to be playing the other Tychomere, this one from BT12. Now, this has a star of main and on play, but you give one of your Digimon with Greymon in its name, an additional 1000 DP, and you also give it blocker. Sorry, it also includes Agumon in name. Your turn, when one of your Digimon digivolves into a Greymon or an Omnimon, you can then suspend this Tamer to gain 1 memory. but ideally this is the Tamer you're going to be playing the most. So that's why we're running a free off. Next up, 3 copies of X Antibody. If you're familiar with this card, naturally you'll activate its main effect, tuck it underneath one of your Digimon, then use its inherited effect as, you know, when you're attacking, you'll then Digivolve into a Digimon with the X Antibody trait for its cost. Now, a lot of the time it's going to be 0. However, with the one-off Metal Grey from BT11, that's obviously a cost of 1. Next up, for defensive reasons, we have Hades Force. Now, we are using that essentially just to delete Digimon and Tamers up to the same value as one of your Digimon. So ideally you want to be using this when your level 6s are out, which is kind of handy. And it can also be reduced by 2 if you have an X Antibody Digimon in play. Next up, we've got 2 offense trainings. For obvious reasons, you pay 2, you reveal top 2 cards from your deck, add 1 red card among them to your hand, and then you can activate its delay effect on your next turn to reduce the next Digivolution cost by 2. But yeah, we're just running a 2 off for this one because of the next card, which you'll see in a second. But again, security effect, you just place this card in the battle area, and then you just prep for the next turn. The last card of the deck is Red Scramble. It's very similar. You pay 2, Digivolve into something for the cost reduced by 3. And then your start of turn effect, if your opponent has a Digimon, you can delay, which is you can place a red card from your trash on top of your deck. And then you may play a Digimon from your trash with 2000 DP or less, which is kind of handy. But that's it. That's my 50 card deck, guys. So I hope you enjoy watching the video. Here's the deck profile now. So feel free to screenshot or, you know, do what you need to in order to copy and paste. But otherwise, thank you again for watching. As always, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I hope you all have a good day. Thank you.